Here's the newest addition to my shop. It's a 12-inch Craftsman Bandsaw. Bought it from a guy, doesn't live too far from me, on Craigslist. I think it had sat for many years. I got it home, cleaned it up. The motor's in good shape. The saw itself seems in pretty good shape. I've documented some of the work I did. There it is running. You can't balance a nickel on it or anything like that, but I think it runs pretty smooth. I ended up purchasing 2 new bearings for the upper and lower blade guides. I also purchased 2 new tires for the wheels and 2 new blades. And here it is with the cover off. You can see the new tires, the new blades. Been cleaned up, a little bit of dust in there. I've used it a few times. And there's the inside of the cover. Not sure what I'm going to do for dust collection. It comes with this port down here, and if you look at the inside of the housing, you can see there's sort of a channel here to guide the airstream, and on the inside of the plastic cover there's a similar channel. That may be good enough. First thing I'll do is just hook up the shop vac to the dust port. I documented some of the things I did, and here's a brief description. I removed the table and I was looking over in this area, and this adjustment back here I think is supposed to slide this washer in and out, which is supposed to slide the bottom thrust bearing in and out, but it's not really moving on that shaft, and this bearing doesn't sound too good. Here are the parts and pieces of the lower guide assembly. They weren't too bad, just a little bit of surface rust. I was able to brush them, wire brush them, hit them with some steel wool. I dipped some of the pieces in a little bit of vinegar to loosen the rust. The rear bearing, though, that's in pretty tough shape. The guide blocks are made of, it's magnetic, but the other pieces are in good shape. Well, here it is reassembled. If I screw this in and out, and the bearing here that I put back on goes in and out fine, and if I screw the lower one, you can see that the guide block carriage is sliding in and out, and they operate pretty smoothly. This shaft appears to have a few burrs on it or bumps, and I'm just trying to lap them off. I have a piece of fine wet or dry paper on a mirror, and I'm turning it as I draw it to me. I'm not trying to remove a lot of metal, but rather just plane down or sand down any high spots that may be on the shaft. Here are all the pieces of the upper blade guide cleaned up. Steel wool wire brush, a little bit of elbow grease. Here's the upper blade guide assembly, reassembled, ready to put back in the saw. As you adjust this screw, it moves this shaft in and out, and this shaft is connected to the bearing. And as you screw this screw here, it's attached to this carriage, and the carriage holds the 2 blocks that support the blade. These blocks are held in place with 1/4-inch set screws on an Allen key, similar to this one. I ended up taking a 1/4-inch bolt and cutting 4 slots in it, and then putting it on my grinder to kind of taper the edge a little bit and create a makeshift tap. And I went into each of these holes and cleaned them up a little bit. So this is ready to go back onto the saw. I mounted this brush on the back side of the wheel to help brush off sawdust particles. To start out, I had a couple nail brushes. I think I got these at Sears many years ago, and I kind of cut the back off of this one, and that piece ended up down there, just mounted on a bracket. I just have 1 screw holding it. I couldn't get my drill up under the webbing in here. Well, that's all for now. This video is getting kind of long. Basically disassembly, clean it up, reassembly. Nothing too heavy duty here, but I do appreciate you stopping by and checking out some of my projects. I'll have a separate video on how I balanced the tires on the bandsaw, which was probably the most significant project. Hopefully some of the things you saw might have given you some ideas, and if that's the case, that would be great. Appreciate you coming by. Thanks again for watching.